Good morning. We thank God for all of his many blessings that he has given to us. We thank him because he has brought us safe this far. I want to take a second or so to thank all of you who took part in the appreciation service on last Sunday. My wife and I thank you for all that you've done, your prayers, your gift, whatever you did. We just want to thank God for you. God bless you and keep on looking up. God is still in charge. Amen. This morning, we want to uh, continue our discussion on avoiding pitfalls. Well, for some of us, this pitfall may be uh, different. All of us at some point in time has fallen on hard times, knowing or unknowing. If you were young, sometimes your parent will shield you from the hard times. You didn't even know that there were hard times. You were just going on about your business. But then hard times will come upon us. And we need to know how to handle them. Hard times comes in the way of crisis, sudden events happening unexpectedly. So it is very important for us as believers to know how to handle the crisis when hard times hit. Listen to the point. The point tells us to trust God to see you through any crisis. Don't depend on man. Trust God to see you through every crisis, every bit of hard time, whatever it is, God will see you through. So then our study comes from Genesis 41, 28 through 32, and 47 through 54. Our first outline, it talks about uh, times when the famine was going to hit, told of it and told them how to prepare. But God, He warns us, but we don't listen. Therefore, we got to go through something in order to get what we need. And listen to the study. It says Genesis 41, 28 through 32. It says, "It is just as I told you, Pharaoh. God has shown Pharaoh what he's about to do. 7 years of great abundance are coming throughout the land of Egypt. After them, 7 years of famine will take place, and all the abundance in the land of Egypt will be forgotten. The famine will devastate the land. The abundance in the land will not be remembered because of the famine that followed it, for the famine will be very severe. Since the dream was given twice to Pharaoh, it means that the matter has been determined by God and he will carry it out soon. So, so we, when hard times hit, we need to seek God's wisdom. God, what is it that you want me to do, or what us to do? What is it, Lord? So in our study, Joseph told Pharaoh the interpretation of his dream. The 7 years of plenty were the good cows and good corn. The 7 years of drought were the ugly cows and the rusty corn. So he's warning because he told it twice. So it means that God is going to go ahead and do what he says he's going to do with them. The abundant years, what do you do when time of abundance? Do you spend it all or do you put some back? So in this case, Joseph interpreted the dreams to tell them that, look, we're going to put a fifth back in every place of everything that is all the grain. We're going to put a fifth back. And so there will be plenty when the famine comes. And so it is, we are to seek God and whatever it is that you do. The good years of abundance, the years of abundance, and then the famine is coming or the drought is coming. And it's not going to be pretty. It's going to be so hard. It's going to hit so hard, you're going to forget about the 7 years of plenty. So it's important we are to seek God in everything that we do. Listen to some of the truths from Genesis 41:28 through 32. God has revealed much about his plan through his word. We must study his word to know what is going to happen. Sometimes life's great challenges eclipse our memory of God's great blessing in the past. And we need to seek God's wisdom for our challenges because God is able to deal with them. So that's the first. Now, the next outline, it tells us Genesis 41:47 to 49, it says, during the 7 years of abundance, the land produced outstanding harvests. Joseph gathered all the excess food in the land of Egypt during the 7 years and put it in the cities. He put the food in every city from the fields around it. So Joseph stored up grain in such abundance, like the sand of the sea, that he stopped measuring it because it was beyond measure. So the preparation here was in the years of abundance, Joseph put some of the grain away. And he had put so much of it away, he stopped counting. And so what it's telling us is telling us to follow the plan that God has. The plan is put some grain back out of each harvest. When you put it back, then you will not, you can fall back on it. For us, when you have abundance, put some back. We call it a nest egg. Put some back. Don't spend it all. Put some back. I know sometimes we don't have anything to put back, but try and put some back for hard time. Some folk call it a rainy day fund. Some call it a nest egg. Whatever you call it, put some back. When there is abundance, put some back for a rainy day. It's important. God wants us to put things back, put funds back for what we call rainy day fund. Put it back, and so you can have it, and you won't have to go and do crazy stuff in order to make your bills meet. Listen to some lasting truths about this. 41 to 47. We need to follow God's plan in our life. Whatever God has planned for you and for me, we need to follow it. He has given us the instruction in the instruction manual. And the instruction manual is the Bible. All right? The Bible. Secondly, we should evaluate prayerfully how to handle excess resources God sends to us. Put some back, put it back, store it up. Don't use it all, put some back. And then thirdly, God is able to pour out blessings beyond measure. So it's important for us to follow God's plan. And when we follow God's plan, He's going to lead us in the right direction. So we must follow Him. The third outline, Genesis 41:50 through 54. Two sons were born to Joseph before the years of famine arrived. Anesta, the daughter of Potiphar, priest of On, bore them to him. Joseph named the first one Manasseh and said, God has made me forget all my hardship and my whole family. And the second son he named Ephraim and said, God has made me fruitful in the land of my affliction. Then the 7 years of abundance in the land of Egypt came to an end, and the 7 years of famine began. Just as Joseph had said, there was a famine in every land, but the whole land of Egypt, there was food. Why? Because he stored it up, because he followed the plan that was before. Be fruitful even in famine. When you follow God's plan, you are going to have resources. When you follow God's plan, two sons of his were born during that time before the famine, and then right before the famine began, they told him what was happening. It's 7 years it was going to begin. But even though there were famine in every land, but the whole land of Egypt had food. Why did they have food? They had food because they put food back. They stored some. At each harvest, it was a fifth of that harvest put back in a storehouse. If you go back in there, and it tells you that it was a fifth, and it was so much that he stopped measuring. So, but now look what's happening now. The famine has started, and there was food, and there was no food in every other land, but there were food in Egypt. Why? He followed the plan of God. And because he followed the plan of God, there is food in the land. The lasting truths from Genesis 41:50 to 54. One, God is able to help us make peace with our past. God can give us fruitful ministries wherever we are. And God's purpose vastly exceeds what we can have even imagined. So when we look at this, trust God to see you through the crisis. That simply means we must depend on Him for everything. We must rely on Him. So when we rely on God for everything, He's going to see us through. So when hard times come, what do? Depend on the Lord. When stuff catch me off guard, depend on God. May God richly bless you my beloved.